What's actually the relationship between COVID death and GMO food, that is genetic modified food? I'd like to compare the United States of America and Nigeria. The United States of America have 111,820,082 cases of COVID, out of which we have 1,219,487 deaths and 109,814,428 recovered from COVID. What about Nigeria? Nigeria um, has 267,188 cases and 259,953 recovered from COVID, out of which Nigeria has 3,155 deaths. These numbers is as a result of uh, April 13th, 2024. That is as of this date, the 13th of April 2024. Why am I saying this? In the US, most food, if not all, are actually genetic modified food, that is GMO. And in Nigeria, no cases of GMO as it stands today that I know of. Why am I saying this? When you compare the healthcare industry in America, it's very, very good. You have some good equipment, you have some good doctors, but you ask yourself, why so much death as a result of COVID? Now, look into Nigeria. We have good doctors too. Some of the equipment we are lacking at some, but the death, it's so little compared to that of the United States of America. One could argue that it's as a result of the food. When you go to the shops or the grocery stores in America, you see the food, they appear to be so nice, look so appetizing, look so fresh. But the question is, what is the nutritional value of those foods? But I know in Nigeria, it is really organic food, less pesticide and less chemicals on the food. So the body actually take little or no time in exhausting itself from handling the toxicity that comes from most of the chemicals. Now, GMO, genetic modified food, imagine Mexico wouldn't even allow corn from America to come to Mexico because those corns are genetic modified. So now the question is, how do you sustain your crop with genetic modified food? How do you do that? Because it really, really do have a negative effect. Growing up in Nigeria, I know what they call shifting cultivation, where you plant one piece of land and allow it 2 or 3 years, then you go back to planting it. Less weed to battle, less toxics to overcome, less chemicals to overcome, because most of the general fertilizers that we use are just the NPK fertilizers, which is natural nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus for growth and good yield. Growing up in Nigeria, my mom never used fertilizer. We just do shifting cultivation and we get good yields. But ask yourself, why is it that a lot of people die from COVID, even after eating food that looks to be rich in nutrients? They still have a high number of deaths. There is something in my research I noticed that The GMO, the genetic modified organisms, also affect plants. And you don't want your native plants to be battling with genetic modified plants. One, it will make your agricultural products be dependent on genetics. That is to say, very soon you will be dependent on foreign countries to continue to supply you with genetic modified organisms to keep your plant going. That is the food security. In my research, I noticed that GMO will produce resistant weeds and insects. We know that in Nigeria, the agricultural process is not too industrial. It's mainly manual, labors. And imagine trying to get rid of weed that is astronomical, difficult to get rid of. Imagine how the common farmers will survive when we depend on GMO because of its effect of producing weeds that are resistant and resilient in killing. And also cross pollination. Imagine your GMO plants cross pollinating with the native plant, the effect it will do on your native crop. Gradually, your native crop will suddenly disappear and you depend on GMO plants. That is less nutritional, I'm telling you. The toxin in the blood, most GMO crop have toxicity in them that affects the human body, and also it also creates the ability to develop allergies. You know, in Nigeria, most people don't even know what allergy is all about. Imagine when you start eating food that has the ability to give you allergic reaction. Remember, our healthcare system in Nigeria is not that powerful or strong enough to handle some medical issues that has never been experienced before. Imagine what that would do to the entire population, or just to the ordinary farmer in the village that depend on the crop he and his family survive from. And also toxic pollen. Imagine the pollination of plants in the dry season. You inhale those pollen, start causing difficulty in breathing, respiratory issues that will develop. So Nigeria should be smart enough not to fall to the multinational in allowing itself to be mandated to use GMO. At the long run, Nigerian populace is going to suffer from it. Ask yourself, why do we have so much death from COVID? It is because the nutritional food in America is less than nothing. It's minimal compared to the organic food that is naturally sourced in Nigeria. But if you go ahead and use GMO products, you find out how sick Nigerians will be. The healthcare system that is not there will completely be overwhelmed. You have a lot of people falling sick. We should not allow ourselves to be used for guinea pigs. The multinationals, they know what they're doing. They know the moment they make you depend on food, you are finished. You are finished. Do not allow yourselves to be used by these multinationals. GMO in the US is there. Imagine Mexico rejecting corns that are GMO products. Rejecting it. I'm saying Mexico is a neighbor, direct neighbor. They share a common boundary to the United States of America. They don't even want their corn. But you want to claim that GMO has nothing to offer to Nigerians. We have the best soil in the world to plant whatever thing you want to plant. You know what? When GMO comes in, it destroys your soil. You will need a special kind of fertilizer that you don't produce. You'll be dependent on those fertilizers that comes from abroad. Guess what? When you do something, when the government of Nigeria do something they don't like, they sanction those products. Your land now becomes barren. Farmers will be suffering. The general population will be starving because the land has been destroyed. Think. I have lived in both worlds. I know what I'm talking about. Currently, I'm in the US, but that won't allow me to keep quiet based on the fact that Nigeria is my motherland. That is where my parents are from. I don't want them to think that it is okay. It is not okay. The world is right now. The world is trying to reorganize itself, where each and every country is trying to make use of its natural resources, and Nigeria wants to depend on products from abroad to sustain the agricultural industry. Just think about it. Well, anyway, it's enough ranting up. I just want to say this. If you have any comments, leave it down below. I'll send you what I just saw. Anyway, have a good one. Cheers.